Hello everyone and welcome to Motorcyclegear.com. Today we are checking out the Suzuki GSX-8S. Welcome back everyone. Today we are checking out the Suzuki GSX-8S, and this bike hits close to home for me as I am typically a sport naked rider, and that's exactly what this bike is, a naked sport bike. So let's go ahead and cover some of the features and specs, and then we can talk about my first impressions on the ride itself. Let's go ahead and start with the engine. The engine is going to be shared with the V-Strom 800DE. It is a 776cc parallel twin with a 270-degree firing order, and it features Suzuki's exclusive cross balancer system that does make it smoother than most parallel twins. From a power standpoint, the GSX-8S makes 82 horsepower at 8,500 RPM with 57.5 foot-pounds of torque at roughly 6,500 RPM. The bike's overall weight is going to be 444 pounds, and I mentioned the power and torque were enough for the V-Strom, while this bike is some 60 pounds lighter with the same engine, so it's definitely a good amount of power and torque for the size and weight of this bike. The GSX-8S has a 3.7 gallon fuel tank with Nissin 4-piston calipers in the front, with dual 320mm discs with ABS and a single piston Nissin caliper in the rear, also with ABS and a 240mm disc. Suspension is going to be KYB in the front and in the rear, and it does have 5.1 inches of travel on both ends. From a tech standpoint, the GSX-8S has a 5-inch color TFT LCD screen. Looks to be the same one as on the V-Strom. It's super simple, easy to read with good colors, brightness is adjustable, and it does have a night and day mode. The bike also does feature, like most modern Suzukis, the SIRS system, or the Suzuki Intelligent Ride System, which does let you adjust modes and settings to tailor the bike more to your riding style and needs. Another nice feature is that all the lights are LED. This includes the headlight, taillight, turn signals, everything, which you don't always get in a bike in this price range. Speaking of the price, $8,849 is a starting price, which honestly is really good for all the specs that this bike has. Oh, and one last thing, like its sibling, it also gets an up and down quick shifter. Okay, so what is it like to ride? Well, when I first got on the GSX-8S, it felt very familiar to me. It has pretty typical naked bike dimensions that I am used to, so we're talking about, mid 400 pounds, a good height where I at 6 feet can comfortably sit on the bike and stop with both my feet down comfortably. Really everything felt as it should from that perspective. And then from a power perspective, this bike is no speed demon by any means. If you try to compare it to, say, a Gixxer or a Hayabusa, well, you will be disappointed from an acceleration standpoint, but that's just the thing. This bike doesn't need that much power or acceleration. The 82 horses that it has are plenty for urban and city riding, and so far I have smiled every time that I have ripped on the throttle with this bike. With bigger and faster bikes, you can't always just rip on them. That'll get you in trouble, but with this bike, you can, and it's a lot less trouble. And honestly, the bike just feels light and nimble, and I feel like it's very flickable. Flickable is the right word. Every corner that I've taken so far has just felt great and confidence inspiring, so I definitely do like that. I'll do some more testing on the bike as I try to carve up some of the canyons out here, put some more miles on it, but so far I have a feeling that the GSX-8S will be fantastic at urban commuting and provide fun well above its price tag when getting into a more, spirited run. So the initial thoughts that keep running through my head is when I had my Husqvarna Vitpillen 401, it felt like a fun bike. I loved how light it was, how agile it was, how it was just so easy to live with, especially in tight urban situations. And though I thought its roughly 40 horses were great for beginners, it just wasn't quite enough for me as a more experienced rider. And honestly, that's exactly where the GSX-8S fits perfectly. I feel like it embodies all those great qualities of a solid urban bike that is also having the power that is needed. So honestly, I think Suzuki nailed it with the 82 horses. It feels just right for this bike, and it's the torque too. One of the beauties of a parallel twin is the torquiness, right? And this engine makes 57.5 foot-pounds, which is again a great amount as well. I feel like I always have plenty of pep in the middle to the top of the rev range, which again is perfect for an urban commuter type because you're not always ringing it out all the way. So far I'm very pleased and really happy with this package as a whole. Now the cool thing too is that it is budget friendly. Like I said, it starts under 9K and also gets solid gas mileage too, so again, perfect for a commuter, as I keep mentioning. Now speaking of budget, there are some clear signs that the GSX-8S was held to a hard budget. To me, the mirrors are kind of cheap, they're kind of ugly looking too, plus their stems are very thin, so you just kind of get a lot of vibration, making them kind of useless because obviously if the mirror vibrates too much, you can't really see anything in it. The clutch lever is also not adjustable, only the brake lever is, which I'm not a fan of that. The tail seems like an afterthought. The bike doesn't have a particularly amazing sound either, but with that said, the good news is all of these items are fixable, and most, if not all of them, fall under the list of the mods that most motorcycle riders do to their bikes anyway, so definitely not the end of the world. But still pointing that out, there clearly was a budget that Suzuki needed to stay within, so that all makes sense. Now back to a few more positive thoughts. The color options are just excellent. Suzuki has been on a tear lately with color options, and the GSX-8S is a great example of that. Granted, the one that I am reviewing is just the plain black color here, but that's good, as that means that there are simple options too. That way if you're not a big color person, you do have some safe or simple options. But outside of the simple or safe colors, Suzuki has over the past few years offered some really wild and exciting colors. Literally year after year they keep adding colors and they all seem to just be a hit, so great work there, Suzuki. And the other part I want to call out too is the comfort. The comfort on this bike is really good. It's a great riding position, and even after long rides, I felt no discomfort. I keep mentioning, commuting, but the riding position is nice and upright for commuting, but still it works for spirited rides too, so definitely a great balance, and just overall very comfortable. Okay, so now that I've given the general overview and some initial impressions, let's go ahead and answer the two main questions here. The first one is if I think that this bike is worth buying. The simple answer, yes, it definitely is. The value for the money and the fun for the money are definitely there. The GSX-8S gives you lots for its price tag. It's what I would call a responsible choice, in the fact that it isn't too expensive to buy, it isn't too expensive to insure or maintain, and it's not too fast. It still has plenty of power and pep to be fun, but it isn't overkill. I think it's a really good, intermediate bike, especially for somebody looking to, for an only bike, right? If you you only have room for one toy or one bike, that bike that can be a weekend fun toy, but also a commuter when needed, I think this bike has that in it. Really, there are better naked bikes out there, faster ones, more powerful ones, sure, definitely, but they're all going to be more expensive as well. So in this price range, you really can't go wrong with this bike. Also, it's pretty dope that Suzuki includes all LED lighting, a two-way quick shift, the TFT display, rider modes, all that for under 9K. Again, you really can't go wrong with that. Okay, and then now on to the second question. Would I buy this bike with my own money? Well, unfortunately, no, I would not. But wait, I thought you just finished, singing this bike's praises, right? Why are you saying no? Well, I'm saying no. I'm not saying that it's not worth buying. I'm saying that I wouldn't buy it with my own money. So let me go ahead and explain why. As much as I think this bike is great and I think it offers so much for the money, I would personally not buy it, as I would pay the extra few hundred or so to get the GSX-8R. As much as I think this bike is really good and has, a lot of similar features as the GSX-8R, I think the 8R is just that much better, and I welcome the added wind protection. So that's why I wouldn't buy this bike. I would get its sibling, the full fairing version, the GSX-8R. Alright guys and gals, that's going to be it for this video on our review of the GSX-8S. Keep an eye out for the next 2 videos where we'll be covering the 5 things that I like about this bike and the 5 things that I don't. Be sure to visit Motorcyclegear.com. We would love to help you out with your motorcycle gear needs. You can also hit us up via phone or email, and if you'd like to share your thoughts on this video or the GSX-8S, feel free to drop us a comment below. Thank you all for watching. Till next time.